What is good, boys? In this video, I'm going to be telling you how to succeed on NoFap long term. This is going to be a video that actually works. So we're going to be covering everything that you need to know in order to succeed. Because if you're someone who's currently not even able to get past day one, this is a daily habit that you're doing, or you're someone who messes up every couple days, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, this is really going to allow you to break whatever cycle that you're currently in and have long-term success with it. Myself, about 3 years ago, I got on NoFap and I stayed strong for about 8 months straight. And then I did some bad things. I got overconfident and I started partying too much. I don't want to get into the specifics of what I did, but I was doing some bad things that really messed with my mental health and my dopamine. I'm sure you can figure it out. And it kind of caused me to slip up. And since then, I was kind of on like a weekly basis or a couple times a month basis. I've had better times and worse times depending on situations. And then finally, just recently, I've been able to reintegrate this and stay consistent with it again long term. So I'm going to be teaching you everything I know over the last 3 years as someone who's succeeded, failed, and got back to success. So let's get right into it with the first thing that's going to allow you to do this. And that is actually figuring out your pain. Like, what is the reason that you want to do this? Because for me, 3 years ago, I got broken up with and I was at the lowest point in my life that I'd ever felt. I'd never felt heartbreak before, and I never felt that sort of sadness. And it was intense. And that was everything I needed to succeed at this long term. I took that sadness and that energy and transmuted it into staying strong on NoFap, getting on self-improvement, trying out different businesses. And here I am successful 3 years later. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what is your pain. And if you can't think of anything right off the bat because you're too in your comfort lifestyle, chasing dopamine constantly with your instant gratification activities, then I'm going to give you pain, which is that I'm sleeping with 10 out of 10 baddies out in Sweden and you're not. If that doesn't piss you off and make you want that exact same thing, and you're thinking, oh, well, I'm sitting here on my phone jerking off to the baddies while Seb is out there sleeping with them, that should piss you off enough to get on this. So if you don't have a reason, there is your reason. So the second thing that you got to do if you want to stay on this long term is you need to identify with NoFap. You need to be a NoFapper. You don't got to be autistic telling everybody about it, but you need to truly believe in this and you need to believe in this long term. So how this works, it takes about 21 days to build a habit and 90 to build a lifestyle. So this is where discipline comes in. You need to stay strong through the first 21 days. That's probably going to be the hardest. And then it gets a little bit easier and you need to go for the next 90 to integrate this into your lifestyle. And there's a lot of important things that you need to do during this time if you actually want to see success. See, when I first started 3 years ago, I also started with meditation and journaling. And I'd highly recommend that you integrate these two things if you want to have success. Because meditation is developing your awareness. So there's many different meditations that you can do, but it all comes down to basically just having more control of your mind. Developing your awareness is going to allow you to have conscious control of your thoughts. And the number one thing that I've noticed about myself slipping up in the 2-year period after the 8-month streak was that it was always a thought that got wild. It was always some thought about like some Instagram baddie or some shit, because I'm not a big fan of like actual porn, but like some Instagram baddie and some sexy bikini or underwear or whatever it is that kind of went wild. And then it just develops into this thing and you go and look and then this and that and it just goes out of control. So the best thing that you can do is really hone in on your meditation and develop the skill of awareness, because you're going to notice that there's a thought and you're going to get sexual thoughts. I still get them to this day, but you're going to be able to control it with the breath. So this is very important whilst you're in that phase of building the habit in 21 days and also the lifestyle, whilst you're learning to identify with NoFap, because it's going to take a little time. So you got to develop awareness, right? So that, okay, when that thought comes to mind, what do? You can all have a killer, like a trigger killer. So you get the thought and you're like, okay, very simple. Some people say ice baths, push-ups, all this stuff, but you can't always do that. So what you can do is you can focus on the breath. You can take a deep breath and be the breath for 1 second and ignore your thoughts. Let your thoughts dissolve because they're imaginary, they're not real, but your breath is. So I'll do it with you right now. You can close your eyes for a second if it's appropriate. If you're not, like if you're driving, don't close your eyes, but and you take a breath and reset. It's that simple. If you need, take a couple breaths, but you use the breath to reset, clear your mind, and get back on track to whatever it is you're doing. And if you need to, if you're really struggling, put your phone away, remove the temptations and the distractions. That's gonna honestly the easiest thing. Like if you're not making money from social media, just delete it. So I'm working on making money from social media. I'm in the beginning phases of it, but I have Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube and all these things on my phone. So that even is more discipline with me or for me to have those on. But if you just remove the temptation altogether and then you're not enough of a monkey to go ahead and search up Pornhub, you're good. You're going to have a much easier time. So if you're not making money from social media, go ahead and delete those right now. That's an actionable step for you. But the way that you're going to kill your urges is going to be by the breath and by developing awareness. So that's number one on how you're actually going to allow yourself to form the identity and stay strong during this phase. And beyond that, another thing you can do is you can affirm with journaling. So you can affirmate this. You can say things like, I am committing to a lifelong journey of NoFap. And then you can also say, I'm committing and I had a great successful day. I controlled my breath. I controlled my urges with my breath. And I'm very proud of myself. Doing things like that, affirmating these things to your mind and being proud of yourself, reaffirming all the good things you did is so powerful. I can't stress this enough. So if you do those two things during this time, you will develop the identity. And then once the identity is developed, it just comes down to living a lifestyle that the way you'll slip up, and this is how I actually slipped up, and I'm going to give you a warning, and this is what I saw from Hamza too. I'm a big Hamza fan. He's the one who got me into this originally and changed my life with self-improvement about 3 years ago. But we both made the same mistake. So I'm telling you now, if you're watching this, don't make this mistake. And that is, I and Hamza, we were on Tinder. I watched his video. He did the same exact thing. We're on Tinder, swiping. You see some provocative girl pictures. You're horny. Maybe like a girl you were texting didn't text you back or something. I don't remember what the situation was. But something falls through and you're just like, fuck it. And then you get mad and you see some like girl who posted something, more provocative. And then you go and you look on Instagram and before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole. So if there's one thing I would avoid is going down that rabbit hole. If you're going to use Tinder, use it and just use it and be very conscious of using it or don't use it at all. If you don't feel like you're conscious enough to do this without self-sabotaging, then don't use it. So that's just one of the things that I did, as well as what also made me mess up was doing like too much drinking and drugs. Those were the things. And I don't want to go into the specifics of it. But if you do those things, it's going to be a lot easier to slip up because those things are frying your dopamine and your serotonin, which allows you to feel good. And the better, the more clear, sober mind you have and the better you feel, the easier this is going to be. So I'd highly recommend staying away from drugs and alcohol because even after 8 months, that plus Tinder is what caused me to mess up. And that's a mistake that I made and I'll admit it. And it took me a long time to find my way back and figure out the little things that I just taught you on how to reestablish this. So that is pretty much all there is. And if you want to be successful with this, then it just comes down to the lifestyle. I mean, once you're successful with it after 90 days, just don't be an idiot and don't do something dumb because if you break that identity, it's going to be very hard to rebuild it. So once you've accomplished this, you should protect this identity with your life. That would be the number one thing for me to recommend to you once you get to that advanced stage, or if you already are at that advanced stage, protect your identity with being on NoFap with your life. It's super important because you don't want to have to go through all the stages. You know what it's like to be back at the first phase and fapping again. It sucks. And you have to go through the whole thing again to reestablish the identity. So you don't want to break that identity and ever slip up and fall back into this habit. And I'm not saying that if you make a mistake in this process that you have to start over completely again. Like if you do slip up after a week, 2 weeks, but you used to do it every day, congratulate yourself on the progress and then get back to it and keep trying to establish the identity. The ultimate goal would be to do this not at all. That's going to be your best mental health. So if you got any value from this video, like and subscribe because I'm going to be dropping all my sauce on everything for life, on self-improvement, becoming the man that you want to be between making money, having success with girls, NoFap, mindset, discipline, everything. I go through it all. So go ahead and check out some of the other videos. I'll link another NoFap video that can help you out as well in here. And I'll see you guys in the next one.